Everybody tuning in for the big announcement. I don't know how many times and how many ways I can say this. I am not running for council. The main reason I'm not is everybody knows Monday is wrestling night.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the inaugural episode of Wrestling Report. This is basically a weekly report where we go through everything that happens on Monday Night Raw. I am your host, Jake Hughes, alongside my father, Kevin Hughes.
Why are you using that weird radio voice?
It's a habit.
Okay.
Get into it. It happens.
Hey, everybody.
Let's just jump right into this week's Monday Night Raw, where Brock Lesnar starts off the show with, of course, Paul Heyman cutting an epic promo, as he always does. Super excited to see more and more of Paul Heyman. Not looking forward to the Goldberg-Lesnar match.
Can we just do a whole entire Raw with nothing but Paul Heyman? The man's a genius on the mic. Whoever he's with, they don't need to talk. Just have Heyman for 3 hours. Think of the ratings. It'll be awesome.
I mean, when Lesnar leaves in 2018, there might be an open spot on the commentary booth, placed by Byron Saxton.
That's not a bad idea. He's done it before in that little show called, I don't know, what was it called? EC Dub?
EC Dub? It might be familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, diving into the Brock Lesnar promo, what'd you think of it?
Oh, I mean, Heyman's magic on the mic. As far as the match itself, I'm not too sure how that match is going to go. It could go either way. We could fool everybody and turn out to be one of the best matches on the card. Yeah, not likely.
Not likely, but anything's possible. Like you said, my big hope is that it's not just a typical Goldberg match where it's spear, jackhammer, over.
They can't do it again. They did it once. It's yeah, and I'm hoping it doesn't go the other way around with suplex over either.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they actually put on a show and we can actually see what each of them have, because I think Brock has a lot more to offer than what's been shown over the last few pay-per-views that he's been on.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Right after that, we cut to Foley and Stephanie McMahon backstage.
Can we be done with that? Can we? Can we just be done? I'm so tired of seeing those two.
It's very exhausting watching them just not be characters.
It's got to be the two worst storylines going right now. Just be done. Fire them. Use them. Stop calling him a useless old man. I take offense to the useless old man comment. Shut up, Jake.
You're older.
And yeah, no, let's just move on. And if he's going to be the GM, let him be the GM. If he's not, then get rid of him.
I agree. What are your thoughts on the whole building up to what ends up being the final segment of the night with Foley having to fire someone?
Again, it's one of those kind of a stupid, useless, we thought, gimmicks. As it turned out, we'll probably get into it later as we go down, but it turns out to be one of the best segments on Raw in a long, long time. I'm just not a big fan of those gimmick promo things.
Yeah, I feel it's a big ploy. What Raw's trying to do is, because they are 3 hours, is trying to get you to stay for the full 3 hours.
Oh yeah, they could drop Raw down to 2 hours and put on a good show.
They could put on a fantastic. They could be what SmackDown is now.
Because
if they were Raw.
They could get rid of one segment.
We're not there yet.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We're one match away from that segment.
Okay, we're one match away from that segment.
Next match was I don't even understand match. The Sasha Banks versus Dana Brooks match. You probably even forgot about that match.
I actually did. It's a good thing you made notes because, again, Raw has been doing it. I mean, I've been watching wrestling, and especially WWF forever, literally. I've watched wrestling since I was a young kid way back in Vancouver watching All-Star Wrestling, and I remember the first WrestleMania, and they always had a really big build-up. It would take months to build up a storyline. Raw just doesn't seem to have that big storyline. Yeah, you got the Seth Rollins storyline. That's starting to build, and it's been building for a while, but that's really the only storyline going into WrestleMania on the Raw side that has had any legs to it. All of a sudden, you've gotten all these other storylines that were kind of dropped in at the last second for some reason, which to me, as an old school fan, is kind of weird.
Yeah, I think the big problem there is that they're trying to do too many pay-per-views because they just had one 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
No, 1 week ago, 8 days ago.
1 week ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
1
yeah.
week ago. So they had to build into that pay-per-view. And what ended up happening is it killed all the momentum you could build off of the Royal Rumble. If Raw didn't have a pay-per-view from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, I would have not been sad because you would have been able to build up these really great in-depth storylines as long as you're not having the same matches over and over again on Raw, which they get into a lot.
Well, I'm hoping what they do with the pay-per-views going forward, obviously the new year for wrestling starts with WrestleMania, so I'm hoping in the new year for wrestling, they go away from having so many pay-per-views, and you can have a 2-month build-up to a pay-per-view.
Sorry, they're called events now. They're not pay-per-views. Because you
Oh.
can get it on the WWE Network, which
For
we're no way
$9.99.
affiliated.
Oh, I guess
Wait,
$11.99.
Unless you're in Canada or anywhere else, then it's more expensive.
But if they do it and they have 1 month, they can have a Raw pay-per-view, and the next month they have the SmackDown pay-per-view, it gives storylines a full 2 months to build rather than these 4 weeks that they have, and it's just too quick, too many.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Holy crap, did we just agree on something?
Yeah, I know, it's strange. The next match is one of our favorite times in Raw. We had Tozawa and Perkins versus the Brian Kendrick and Tony, whatever his name is.
Can we just, why do we have 205 on the Wrestling Network?
Yeah, we pay for the network. We get an hour of 205 Live. Put them on our pay-per-views. I don't mind putting them on the Raw pay-per-views.
But get them off Raw.
Yeah.
That's our opinion, and we agree again on that.
It's just something that takes away. I mean, I understand because it's filler, and you got to think. I mean, another hour of them trying to find another 2 matches to fill in.
But they've got lots of talent they're not using, and they have no storylines for them.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn. Who's the guy that fought the Big Show tonight?
Titus O'Neil. You even don't have
Titus
anything
O'Neil.
going with the New Day. You don't like. There's so many talent. So much talent you have.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's hard to say that you need the cruiserweights.
You don't need the cruiserweights on it.
No.
The cruiserweights need to be on it, I guess, to be able to get that spotlight so people do start watching 205.
It just feels like a waste to me.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time that could be better used elsewhere.
I think you can build better storylines if you get rid of 205 or the cruiserweights and put them on their own 205 show.
Yeah,
and that way you have 3 solid shows.
Give them a full 2 hours. Move it to a different night instead of right after SmackDown.
I don't think you need a full 2 hours right now. I think you could leave them at an hour and build them up. From there, go to an hour and a half down the road. And I don't think you need a full 2 hours. I think the 1 hour for the cruiserweight is a lot.
That's fair. Moving on, after that craziness of a match, we move to a backstage promo with our favorite tag team and the Raw Tag Team Champions, The Club, talking in monotone voice as if they're being translated through...
Can you get more boring than The Club?
The worst part is that they are super successful in New Japan.
How? That New Japan, all over the world, they have some really good wrestlers there. How can these two be successful? Did they get down on their knees with the promoter? Like, what the hell?
But you got to think, I mean, big guys in Japan are much coveted, more coveted.
Yeah, they got the sumo wrestlers. Put them in. I mean, they would be more entertaining than those two.
I think they've been stuck into a specific character that they're not able to break through.
Or
they need to lose the club gimmick and just be Gallows and Anderson.
Or maybe they can not speak and we can have Heyman.
More so after WrestleMania, when the draft happens, they move to SmackDown and you reunite with AJ Styles, who makes them 99% better because he can cut a goddamn promo.
And, I mean, any wrestling fan knows, and I know there will be some non-wrestling fans on this first edition because we kind of fooled them. It was Jake's idea, not mine. Blame him. So promos are huge in wrestling, and if you can't cut a promo, you're not going to get over. And I'm sorry, They gave them the titles, and I don't think they're over yet.
No.
I could be wrong, but again, that old school is saying.
Yeah. Again, for the first time, we're at the first episode, we're agreeing 3 times.
What the hell?
Yeah.
We never agree. We sit and watch wrestling every Monday since he was born. We never agree. We argue and punch each other through the whole match.
After that terrible club promo, we jump to Kevin Owens cutting an amazing promo, as he always does. Again, a guy who can take a boring storyline and make it something amazing. And as much as I love the whole Jericho-Owens storyline, I think it's gotten very flat. due to the fact that they waited way too long. Secondly, it's not for the Universal Championship because Lesnar and Goldberg needed that. It's lost on me. Like, why does... I understand the whole prize fighter thing, but why does Kevin Owens want the U.S. title?
Could we go back to fight Kevin fight or fight Owens fight? That's when Kevin was doing his best, I think. He... I don't know. It just seems to be the same thing week after week now. I find his promos are getting almost boring. He's still great on the mic, don't get me wrong, but it just seems to be the same thing over and over again. They're not coming from old school who used to think Hulk Hogan was cool. You know what I mean, brother?
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. No, I mean, I think Kevin Owens is they're building into something. And they have to wait till the whole Seth Rollins Triple H feud is over to be able to do it and get rid of Foley, unfortunately. I think Foley's time is limited. But I feel like they're building into another authority regime with Triple H, Steph, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and I think there's going to be someone else. There's got to be a younger talent or a very old talent that's going to be a part of that to be sort of the guiding light.
See, I don't think they're going to get rid of Foley. I think Foley could play into that really well, being the antagonist to that group. Every group like that needs somebody like a who was it when they were Daniel Bryan's. I mean, he was their antagonist, right? Right now, they don't really have that antagonist.
Seth Rollins, I guess, could be, but I think Foley would still have that comedic, quotation marks, role to be able to play in that.
What they did with him tonight at the very end, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, was genius in my books.
See, and that's what I like about Foley is that, I mean, I would prefer him not to be the comedic Foley. I'd prefer him to go to that more angry side more and more often. So I think getting him away from Stephanie for a little bit would really help him.
Yeah, but if you go back and you look at the three faces of Foley, you have to have that comedic to have the sadistic. You can't have good without bad. So it's, yeah.
I guess that's fair. After that promo, we go into what I thought should have been a fantastic match, was a Owens and Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn. The match itself ended in DQ due to just, blatant, I don't even know why. They
even had the match. It was, I guess they had to have a way to make it into a triple threat. As soon as they made the match, Jake and I looked at each other and said, well, that one's going to be a schmozzle and it's going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania.
See, I don't think they're going to go with a triple threat match. I think they're going to go...
But Foley announced it tonight. He said it was going to be a triple threat match.
No, not that match.
Yeah.
You're thinking of a different match. Because I think it's going to be Kevin Owens and versus Chris Jericho for the title. And then Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn.
No, the club was...
Not the club. Oh, we passed the club.
Oh, sorry, I'm confused. I'm old.
Past the club.
Let me take a drink of my water. Really, it's just water.
No, we're not at that yet. We had
Which match were we talking about?
Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe.
Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead to the other match.
You should listen.
I gotta listen.
Break things down. No, Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn.
It was so boring, I forgot about it.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I understand they don't want any of four of them to lose because you want to have that competitive feel to Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe, which, in my opinion, is still too early to have Sami Zayn win. To build up
that was the one they disqualified because there was they were teaming up on each other. Yeah, it was boring.
Yeah, literally,
it was just boring.
If you're Samoa Joe and you're Kevin Owens, you should, and you're the bad guys, you're the heels, you grab a weapon. You don't just beat each other. How many times have you seen two people in the ring at the same time? It just makes no sense to me. Beyond that, I think, again, like I said before you got confused on which match we were talking about, I think it's going to be Owens and Jericho for at WrestleMania. That's already been announced. But I think Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn are going to fight at WrestleMania as well.
Again, that would be great. I mean, they could probably put on a great match they did in NXT. But there was no story. There's no storyline really to build that.
But there is. I mean, it's been slowly planted. If you think about it, looking back, Samoa Joe came out and started calling out people like Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn came out and got beat up, right? So it's a slow build. I mean, it's not one of those big builds. It's not going to be a big match.
No.
It's going to be one of the earlier matches. I think it could be a really good kickoff match to the actual show. because they'll get the fans
In
into
the
it.
pre-game show or whatever they call it.
I think to the first match in the
The
pay-per-view.
first match. You don't think a dark match. You think a first match.
I think a first match because it'll get the fans into it, right? Fans love seeing both of them fight.
True enough.
They put on a fantastic show, gets the crowd into it and going right away.
But with Samoa Joe, they're building him up so big. Would you think they would? Oh, I guess they could still put him in. He would still be on WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would still be on WrestleMania,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So after that...
Damn, 4 times we've agreed now.
I know. The whole New Day show with Big Show and Titus was...
Why?
I want to know who was injured in the New Day.
Who?
Is Big E?
Who?
I think it's Big E. I think Big E is injured. Only because he's the only guy who fights every night, and they're not fighting. And
They're not fighting. They haven't fought in what? Probably a month or so more?
From what I remember, at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've actually had a real match.
Yeah.
And why aren't they in the tag team picture?
They don't need it.
They don't need it, but the crowd wants it.
But
right?
The crowd doesn't always get what they want.
No, unfortunately. Or we'd have 3 hours of Heyman.
Yeah, so that whole thing, Big Show comes out, does a terrible Jetsons. I don't even understand. Titus comes out and be like, I want to be on the Jetsons because I'm Titus and blah, blah, blah.
It was just bad.
It was just terrible.
Terrible.
Sets up a match for later in the night for Big Show and Titus for some reason.
Are we talking about that match now?
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay.
Which we're now jumping to the match you thought we were talking about before. Enzo and Big Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro.
Okay, first let's talk about the promo they cut with Enzo and Big Cass, because I love the fact they're giving Big Cass more time on the mic. And I used to not be a big fan of him on the mic because he talked like this and it wasn't very cool. Now I find that he's really starting to come into his own, and they're actually letting him talk. Not as much as Enzo, and he doesn't get as many of the punchlines or the big pops as Enzo does. But he's definitely, I think that kid's got talent. That kid's going to go a long way in this business.
Yeah, I think so. Big thing with that promo is, I mean, with Roman Reigns as a whole, or Roman Reigns, wow, with Big Cass as a whole, I think he's going to be a star that is forced for the first little bit from McMahon once him and Enzo split, which I think is going to happen sooner rather than later.
You can kind of see the hints that it's happening.
Yeah.
I've seen a few things that going just typical Vince style.
The slow breakup,
Yeah.
and then it'll be on a show and like something they'll throw someone through something like Cass through a barbershop window or something. Create a big
Has that ever happened?
No,
before?
I don't
think that's ever
No, I mean,
happened.
Kevin Owens threw Jericho through the
Titantron.
No, that was just a random glass of friendship, I think.
No, it was a Titantron 360.
No, it wasn't the Geritron. Well, he did throw,
Geritron.
no, but the first thing he smashed him through wasn't the Geritron. It was just like that glass of friendship. It was nothing. It wasn't the Geritron.
Oh, yeah, but then he put his head
Then
through
he put
the
his
Geritron.
head. He did put his head through the Geritron.
Yeah, because that was back to the old days, putting them through the barbershop window.
Yeah. But yeah, actually jumping in.
Me.
Jumping into the match, Enzo and Big Cass versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yeah, easy for him to say.
Jesus.
Cesaro and Sheamus.
Really?
Can we get even more boringer?
See, I thought the
more
match was
boringer.
more boringer.
That's a good word. English
is
today.
really strong at this point. Just keep listening. I thought the match was fantastic to begin with. I mean, the end we saw a mile away, like you said in your confusion at the beginning.
Well, yeah.
It was going to be a schmaltz, and you're going to see a three-way match because the club's not going to draw a pay-per-view belt match.
I mean, I'm not, as we've talked about many times in the past, I'm not a big fan of Sheamus whatsoever, even when he was a single and even when he held the title way back when they were pushing him down our throats.
Human jar of mayonnaise.
Best line ever, by the way, when Cena called him a human jar of mayonnaise. Putting him with Cesaro gives it a bit more color. Get it, color? And I mean, Cesaro could freaking wrestle a phone book and make it look good.
Yeah, I don't know why Cesaro never got the push he should have. And will it ever happen? Because I don't think whoever the powers that be, whether it be Vince, whoever is running actually booking Backstage for Raw, or Hunter, whoever does it.
I think it's Hunter that's gives the pushes when they're deserved or when he thinks they're deserved.
Well,
I don't get it. I think Cesaro should have got pushed long
it was up to the
ago.
fans as well as, I mean, most.
He's over.
He's so over. It's ridiculous. Like when the Cesaro section first started, it was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that match ended in disqualification from the club. Announced later in the evening, it was going to be a triple threat match.
Excuse me.
A triple threat match for the tag team champions. Again, I can only see Enzo and Big Cass not winning, Cesaro and Sheamus winning, only so that they can break up right after WrestleMania.
Yeah, maybe.
You do a whole.
They're over as a team, though, so.
But I think they can both get over as individuals. Big Cass. The only thing is, I don't know if Big Cass can be heel, and that means Enzo would have to turn heel.
And Enzo would be a great heel.
Would he flop in the darkness, or would he magically end up on our lovely purple segments on Raw?
Purple segment. Oh, the cruiserweights. That's like purple segments. What are you smoking? The purple A's, man. No, I don't. I think he would be able to. I think he could go.
I think he could. I mean, he's just got. I think a big thing is he's gotten success with the one-liners and the catchphrases. Just tone it down from 10 to 5. We don't need every catchphrase. That's his character.
He needs to go 10. If he tones it down to 5, it's like saying that the Ultimate Warrior needed to tone it down. People used to say the same thing. He was who he was, and Enzo is who he is because they do come in at a 10.
I guess.
Right? Yeah. If you cut it down to a 5, they're just Jericho.
There's nothing wrong with Jericho.
Well, there isn't, but it's not the same character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
After that, we go through a whole bunch of just boring promo stuff, announcing the Warrior Award as the football player, which I thought was really classy.
That was really cool.
After that, we go into the Roman versus Jinder Mahal match.
Okay, next.
No, well, I mean, the match itself was...
Yeah. Mind you, again, there's another person, Jinder Mahal, could be a very good wrestler given the opportunity and given the time and the effort.
Yeah, I mean, look at Husky.
I'm not sure how he would do on the mic.
Yeah, I think he's got to change his character. He's got to change up.
Husky Harris.
Look at Husky Harris. I was going to say, look at from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt. For those of you who don't know who Husky Harris is, go Google that after. Because it's insane the change on how Triple H himself saw something in this guy and said, here you go.
Well, he was on his way out the door. Vince hated him.
Yeah.
Vince was pushing him out the door, and Hunter said, no, Vince, give him to me.
Yeah.
Let me work with him.
And now he's the WWE champion on SmackDown, which is crazy. I mean, well-deserved, but still crazy. Big thing to take out of the Jinder Mahal match with Roman was Undertaker's gong.
That was pretty cool.
They got everyone. I mean, it almost looked like I was going to say they were actually going to let Jinder Mahal win one, but it's Super Roman, and he's following in the steps of Super Cena, and he can't lose to silly old Jinder Mahal.
Well, I'm sure they're pumping in the let's go Cena, Cena sucks, let's go Roman, Roman sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it's you can see they're making that same kind of character in a different style, but the same style.
I don't think you need two of them in the company.
No.
Cena's done wonders for the company, and again, I've always liked watching Cena's matches, his character, for the last 10 years.
Plus years.
6+ years. He's only been around for...
10+ years.
Well, he's been around for 10, but his character has been the same for about 6, and it's gotten flat for the last 4.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's still he still is the top producer in the company. I mean, come on.
As long as he's not out filming movies or something like that.
Well, that's
part-time.
That's what WWE has become, though, right?
Unfortunately. We get more of the Rocks, and then Cena will only show up at WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, and everyone will be happy, and I'll be sitting here being like, why doesn't this guy? Oh, right, CM Punk left. After the match, Roman Reigns calls out Undertaker. We cut to commercial, and we come back, and we're still waiting for Taker to come out. Instead, we hear HBK music. And out comes Shawn Michaels, walks down to the ring, and God's probably one of the best part-timer / guest appearance, old-timer appearances I've seen in a long time.
He is Mr. WrestleMania. I mean, come on, you know him. He's my favorite wrestler next to Jake the Snake Roberts. That's Jake got his name. He's my favorite wrestler in the modern era, the old era. I still think he's coming back. I think he's got one little run left in him, and but that'll be left to be seen. But you're right; it was one of the greatest promos from a part-timer in a long time. Yeah,
really cemented the whole. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, Roman. You're going crazy with this. He's in your head already. I think it's going to be a really good match with Roman, and don't think I've said that ever, is with Taker. I mean, Roman always surprises me because he's always changing. He's always growing in the ring, which I can appreciate. I don't like his character. As a performer, I think he can put on performance of a lifetime.
I think he's one of the better wrestlers, pure wrestlers, right now on Raw. I mean, whether you like his character or you don't like his character, if you just look at his actual wrestling, he's not a 3-move guy. He's got a lot of different moves, and he's constantly evolving.
Yeah,
and I think he's constantly improving. You got to remember, he's still not that old of a wrestler.
Yeah, he's for like a big push. He's still rather young.
I mean, was he pushed down your throats, as you would like to say?
He was.
I think he deserved what he got. I mean, with him and the what was he with? The
Shield.
The
Shield. He's looking for
old
a
age.
Shield.
Old age. With him and the Shield, I mean, all 3 of them deserved everything they got. They were amazing, and now they're amazing as singles. Yet everybody's I don't know where the hatred for Roman comes in. It just doesn't make sense.
I think it's the character, the whole character. To me, it's a one-dimensional character, and you can't have that in today's wrestling. Like even Cena, as much as I said, his character is flat. He's got 2 dimensions. When he was facing against AJ Styles, he was able to turn it up and get back to that brawler where I honestly thought they were on the verge of flipping him heel. Everybody, and then goes back to Super Cena, which I was not a fan of.
But you go back to when Cena held the the U.S. Championship, and he had the open matches for the U.S. He put on the best matches on Raw for 10, 15 weeks straight.
Yeah, I will agree with that, yeah.
And then, I mean, you look, everybody says, oh, Roman's one-dimensional. Roman's over. Roman sells more merchandise than pretty much anybody on the show.
Except for one group.
Yeah, right? I mean, he's amazing. So it's amazing how the internet has really changed wrestling to a point where a few people like ourselves who are doing podcasts can dictate who's going to be over and who's not going to be over, and they push that agenda. And you see it time and time again with different wrestlers, and you watch it, and you kind of, from the old school before internet, because I'm old, and wrestling pushed wrestling. The people, whichever territory you're in, they decided who was going to be over and not somebody on the internet. Nowadays, it's pretty much the internet decides who's going to be over, and for some reason, people on the internet just did not take to Roman.
I mean, personally, out of the 3, I thought Dean Ambrose was, when they were still the Shield, I thought Dean Ambrose was going to be a megastar. Don't get me wrong, I feel like he's kind of backed away, like he's stopped caring. Like, honestly, when you watch SmackDown, it looks like his passion's not there. He's not having fun anymore. Where you look at Rollins and Reigns, as like they're still going out and putting on great performances.
Because they got the push, right? They got the push.
You got to look at it. Reigns and Seth got a huge push, but on SmackDown, he was a champion for the longest time until AJ came along, right? But we've sidetracked way big here.
That's what's cool about this. We can talk anything we want. It's our show.
We make the rules. And yes, we will break them. Get back to more purple cruiserweight action.
Nope.
Austin Aries versus Daivari, which, I mean, it's Austin Aries. I'm still shocked. I made the comment during the match. I'm still shocked that Austin Aries, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles are all on Monday night, or on WWE programs, not per se Monday Night Raw, but they were the heart and soul of TNA, and now they're on Raw or on WWE programming. It's amazing to me.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't have anything against the cruiserweights, to be honest, and you'll be able to tell because we don't talk about the in the match as much. We fast forward a lot through the 205 matches or the cruiserweight matches.
Yeah, I think
we didn't on that one though. We actually watched that whole match because it was a good match.
Yeah, Austin. I mean, I'll watch anything with Austin Aries. My big thing is cruiserweights on Raw don't give me a reason to watch. The reason to watch is so that I watch 205 live on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
that's not a reason to me. To me, that's a hey, we're going to put them on the Raw pay-per-views, watch 205 Live so you know what's going on in the storyline. But that would be motivation for me to go watch 205 and build up a storyline.
But they're starting to build the storylines with the king of the cruiserweights.
Yeah, Neville.
Now you've got
Neville's been a big resurgence in there.
Right. You've got Austin Aries coming in. You've got what's the guy that's been around forever?
Brian Kendrick.
Brian Kendricks. I mean, I think his character is amazing.
Oh.
So when we say we don't want cruiserweights on Raw, it isn't because they're bad wrestlers or they can't cut a promo.
Most of the time, they're some of the best in-ring performers.
But there's enough talent in the WWE and on the Raw brand that aren't being used, and we're taking up 2 matches for a show that doesn't need to be on there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Next week.
Wow, we sure bashed them, didn't we?
We did. I feel bad for them, but then we cut to a match.
Short people good. Oh, sorry. Carry on.
We cut to Titus and the Big Show as the next match.
Okay, next.
Yeah, basically.
Really, I mean, why?
Yeah.
And look, truthfully, when you seen Big Show come in, he looked angry when he was coming in, like he didn't want to do the match. And then all through the match, he looked angry. And then when he was leaving the ring, he was even angrier.
Yeah, and the third, 2 choke slams, and the third one, he hung him up there, and it literally looked like he was making him pay for something.
He grabbed his trunks and grabbed his trunks and just pulled them right up in between there. He was giving them a wedgie of all wedgies. It was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. Then when he was walking back, he also grimaced a little bit, like he was in pain. I don't know if that had something.
I don't know if it was a grimace or more of
that was.
Oops, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you're allowed to
I'm
swear.
fucking pissed off. And that's the impression I got, was more that he was pissed off about the match because it was a useless match once again. And again, Big Show, a talent that should be used, isn't. And maybe because he's over the hill, who knows?
Talent that should be used? I don't know. I think, again, a match that could have taken place would be a match that, I'm trying to think of who's not on the list. Put the New Day in a match instead of the Big Show.
Yeah.
Put someone from the New Day in a match, you know what I mean? To me, getting the Big Show out there is just for the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial.
Which we won't even talk about that because I think it's not a WrestleMania match.
No.
It's more to honor.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
do it on the
Andre.
kickoff show,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Do it on the kickoff show. Then have the last
And they
3.
might. Didn't they do that last year? Wasn't it on the kickoff show?
I don't remember.
Maybe somebody listening can comment. Can people comment on
People
this?
can comment
Okay.
on this, yeah.
Maybe somebody who's paying more attention than us people can comment on that one.
Last match of the night is Bayley versus Nia Jax, which I just realized is another main event that women matches have taken.
That wasn't the last match.
That was 100%.
Oh yeah, so that was the last match, and then we had the craziness.
Thought the match was really good. A lot of really good storytelling in the match. The ending was garbage.
The ending, it was weird.
You even were like, why did she get disqualified? And it's in the corner. You do have that 5 count.
But they never disqualify
somebody. They just get in
somebody.
there and push her off, and then
Probably because, like you said, they didn't want their champ to lose 3 times in a row, and there's no way they could have let her beat Nia.
yeah.
I'm a huge Bayley fan. I think Bayley is one of the top female wrestlers that we've seen. I go back to Trish Stratus, and I make the comparison between those two quite often because I think she's just amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing to watch.
Nia, I think, gets a lot of flack, especially online, because she's not the stereotypical diva. But her work in the ring and on the mic she's really, really improving.
I think she's such a big character, and she's a big girl, and her agility. You look at a big guy and they have agility, and everybody's like, "Whoa,
yeah."
You put a big girl, and people are a larger lady, and people are like, "Oh, she can't wrestle." Well, yeah, she can wrestle. It's just she has nobody to wrestle against because there's nobody close to her size.
Yeah.
So she's basically wrestling midgets.
Yeah.
It's in comparison.
If you look back to the Bayley Nia Jax match back on NXT, I think it was one of the best matches. People called it boring because it was a very much slower paced match. But the storytelling between Bayley and Nia Jax, they're huge fans of the show from when they were kids.
Yes.
So they go in and they're like, okay, if we were kids, what would we want to see? We'd want to see Bayley being the ultimate underdog, the way they built it up was try to choke out Nia Jax. Can't do it. She's too powerful. And eventually she gets it, right?
And then kick the leg, chop down that tree, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to see them actually go a full match on a pay-per-view where it's a full match. Have Bayley win. But do it, make it a 20-minute match. Because I think the two of them could carry a 20-minute match, 25-minute match, no problem.
Now, who do you think's going to win the WrestleMania match? Do you think Bayley's going to pull out?
I hope so. I hope they leave it with Bayley. She needs it right now. She needs it for her self-confidence, I think. She needs to get better on the mic. She's okay on the mic. I don't think she's hugely over for her promos. I mean, she's over as a wrestler and as her entrance. She has the best entrance of anybody. And what are they called?
The wacky, wavy, inflatable... Oh, man, I'm going to screw it up.
See?
Wavy, wacky, inflatable, arm-flailing Bailey buddies.
There you go. I mean, it's the coolest entrance. It's a cool entrance. Tonight, one of them failed. And I just think it's cool the way she just starts smacking them and trying to get them to go up, right? And she didn't fall off the
stage this time,
or the ramp. I don't know if anybody caught that a few weeks back, where she almost hurt herself falling off the stage. Jake and I watched it. I had to rewind it a few times.
Who else did that night?
Same night.
Same night, someone else did it. I can't remember.
Flair. Was it Flair?
No, it was a good guy.
Was it a guy? Was it a guy? Yeah, same thing. But anyways, we regress.
I think Bailey should win. The only other option, I think Dana Brooke is going. Big thing we didn't touch on back at the Sasha Banks.
Yes.
Dana Brooke is Dana turned on her longtime protege, person who yelled at her, Charlotte, after the match. I think that's going to play into the WrestleMania match, where I think instead of making it a fatal four-way like you thought, I think Dana's going to come out and beat up Charlotte. She's not going to win because of that.
And then are they going to give it to the boss?
I don't think they are. I
hope
think
they
she
don't.
needs it.
I hope they don't.
She doesn't
and I
need
hope they turn her heel and keep Bailey face. And I think that would be a good interaction between the two of them that they could run with. Again, I go old school again. Trish and Stratus
and Lita.
Trish and Lita. They could go with that for months. Literally, they could probably run 2 or 3 pay-per-views with that angle.
And I mean, the big thing in Raw is their women's division is kind of small in comparison to SmackDown's.
Yes.
So you got to keep constantly changing. But I think
who else is there in the women's division? Sorry to interrupt. In Raw,
it's those 4 plus Emma whenever she debuts.
Emma or Emelina or Emma
if she ever debuts. She's coming soon.
She's coming soon. That's what she said.
That's what she said. But yeah, so you don't have a lot of women talent to work with. However, could you imagine a scenario where Nia Jax helps Sasha? If you think about it, the whole storyline building up, use Sasha as a proxy for Nia Jax, because Sasha's really good on the mic, right? And you can get a lot more work out of Nia Jax that way. Use her as a bodyguard, much like I'm going back to Michaels and Diesel.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Diesel got the belt.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see that happening.
You could do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're running way over what I thought we were going to be running. Foley segment, last match, the last segment of the night.
Probably one of the best segments I've seen in a long time. And I mean, pull out all the stops on this one. I mean, you've got Shawn Michaels coming out. You had the hint of The Undertaker. You had Paul Heyman. You had Brock Lesnar.
But not Goldberg. You mean the Universal Champion wasn't on Raw.
Yeah, because he's part-time. He only has to make so many appearances. But you look at, you bring out Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And then the last match when they were arguing, they being Foley and Steph, and the game's music hits, both Jake and I came off our seats. I mean, that's cool. And we both at the same time said, Seth. That's all we said, is Seth.
Rollins.
And then when his music hit, I mean, it was just phenomenal.
And then the crutch drop was the slow build. I like that they didn't rush it. And I mean, that's Seth learning from the game so much. Milk it as long as you can. And then when you don't think you can milk it anymore, milk it a little bit longer.
And everybody knew he was going to drop that crutch. Yeah. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'll admit it.
Thank you.
Jake was right.
The
injury wasn't real. Or it wasn't. I'm not going to say the injury wasn't real.
It's not as serious as they made it out.
It's not as serious as they made it out.
I've been saying it since the week it happened. They're like, oh, he's injured. I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
Because if he was injured, they would have showed it where. Because my big thing is when he injured himself at a house show, they had a faraway cam, because they always have a faraway cam just to record in case anything serious like that happens. And they circle the knee, and you can see his knee pop off to the side.
They didn't do that.
They instead built up Samoa Joe out of it and never showed you where he injured his knee.
True enough. And then the fight on Twitter.
It was all too convenient. I do think he went in and got something done. I think he was having some issues with his knee and got something minor done.
He could have had a scope done. Easily had done a scope, and it's just rehab. That segment, when Hunter hit him with the crutch on the knee, man, both Jake and I went, oh, that's going to leave a mark. So the knee wasn't injured if he hit him that hard.
Yeah, bent the crutch crutch in half on the second shot. Looked like it was about to break.
Exactly. No, that was a pretty cool segment. I like, though, from start to finish, old school Raw is
It was
what that was.
Again,
that was cool.
it felt like a WrestleMania build-up. For the first time all year,
Yeah.
it's felt like a WrestleMania build-up.
And we haven't had, again, like I talked about in the beginning, we haven't had that big build-up to WrestleMania until tonight. Tonight, really, maybe because, like you said, they just had a pay-per-view.
They've got to get their butt together.
Now they've got only three more Raws, I guess.
3 more Raws.
Yeah.
20 days.
So 2 more Raws.
Because
21
21
would
be 3 weeks. Only 2 more.
2 more Raws to build up before WrestleMania. They've got to put it in high gear now.
Yeah,
and if anybody can do it, it's a game because he's the game.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, for everything he gets flack for on the internet for burying people, he's earned it.
How?
Oh, he's buried people.
I don't know.
Cesaro.
But has he actually buried people? Not like he was buried. You got to remember. I mean, he was the curtain call man.
Oh, yes.
He was buried for a year,
Easily a year.
or
at
if
least,
not longer, right?
But, I mean, you got to think. I mean, yeah, he was buried, but whose ear did he have at the same time? Not just the champion,
No.
but Vincent Kennedy McMahon's
Yeah,
ear.
and Vincent's the one who buried him.
Yeah, but the
Right?
thing is, I mean, yeah, he's getting buried, but he still had to be like, oh, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? And I mean,
But-
every interview and everything I've ever heard about Hunter is that he is very business oriented and always has been,
Yes.
and not in a suit and tie sense. In the wrestling senses, he knows how to make things work. If you have an issue with a match, he used to walk into people's bookings being like, hey, how do we do this? And he'd be like, oh, do this. And they'd be like, right, just like that.
Just like that.
So, I mean, it's a natural position for him to be in. Last and final thought, the match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. It will happen. I mean, big thing I
Obviously.
keep pointing back to is I won't be medically cleared to buy the doctors, is what Seth Rollins
Street
said.
fight?
I think it's going to be one of those non-WWE sanctioned, no referee street fights, first person to knock it up wins sort of thing.
So you think it's going to be one of those last man standing?
Last man standing, go back into the
Or is
brawl,
it going
go
to
through.
be pins count anywhere?
I mean, personally, I'd like to see pins count
First
anywhere.
blood.
They won't do
They
that.
don't bleed anymore.
They're pushing more and more into that.
Hey, they used the word bitch tonight.
They did. They're slowly moving. Well, I mean, Heyman gets away with a little bit more than everyone else does, but
Because he's Paul fucking Heyman.
anyways, that is we are way over time. That is our first episode of Wrestling Report. Any last things you want to toss in there?
No, because you're going to get mad because I talk too much.
Yeah, it's fair enough. If you guys do like what we do here, hit that like button. If you do want to see more of us every week, we will be putting out a video every Tuesday. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the little bell button. It'll send an alert right to your cell phone. If you do also want to check out my other project, SCG, Society of Coolest Gamers, I will put a link in the comments, and you can check us out there.
And did you notice he went back into his freaking radio voice for that?
It's a habit. When I get to the final, you got to wrap it up to perfection. So that was
Till next week.
Till next week, we are Wrestling
In the
Report.
meantime.
And in between time.